Alright, welcome to a 1v1 on Angoville. This game's gonna be Cruzz versus ihitto. So should be good. We're gonna see Recon, Armor, and Airborne versus ihitto's same loadout. Last time I cast him he was playing Oster. I had the exact same loadout, close air support, mechanized assault, and mobile defense. I ended up picking... Actually, I don't remember. I think it was a really short game though, but either way, see what he chooses to do. Has not... this patch does not seem to have affected, though, the commanders that Oster seems to like to choose in any particularly meaningful way. Close air support received a minor nerf, but not enough of a nerf to make it not an attractive option, which is a good thing. Obviously, you don't want it to be completely removed from the meta because that doesn't solve anything, but it would be nice to see some other things popping up in the Oster metagame. Two squads of riflemen from Cruzz making their way towards the left. He is getting a second squad of rear echelon troops, but they're being fielded after his first two squads of riflemen, so that I guess maybe you can get aggressive over here on the left towards the cutoff. He will see that ihitto is sending almost all of his initial forces towards the right side. Two grenadier opening, Pio is working on this sector, while rear echelon troops simply defend here in the cutoff house. Second squad of rear echelon troops making its way left to do back capping, while riflemen rotate to help in engagements for the right side.
We have a fresh grenadier squad.
Riflemen do manage to secure the building. Pios know they've lost that engagement if they continue fighting from within the house, so they're just going to hide behind this vision blocker for now. Rear echelon troops making their way right will spot these grenadiers. Riflemen continue to defend in the house. This white building does win against the yellow building over time, so Cruzz is probably going to be forced to reposition, but for now he's just going to maintain building control, try and stall while he figures out what he's going to do. Second squad of riflemen is on its way to support, and these rear echelon troops did have to retreat from the advancing Grenz, and he may lose control of his cutoff building. Riflemen try to get there in time, but they're too late. He sees that and repositions around behind this hedge. For now, I'll have to think about a way to get those grenadiers off of his cutoff. Riflemen continue to stall in this building, maintain general control over this road. Riflemen move to take control of the cutoff here, and these rear echelon troops are on their way towards
The new grenadier squad is ready.
this general area.
This is another spot of land, and it is ours.
Grenadiers move to grab the victory point there in the south. Pio is working on the right side, and a fighting position is going up.
We claimed it for the fatherland.
Grenadiers reporting. We are ready for action.
Riflemen moving around the right side through this arch to engage against... I think I heard a rifle grenade somewhere. Am I crazy? Oh, no, it's a rear echelon troop rifle grenade. Okay, I see what Cruzz is doing. Fighting position up right here will clear those grenadiers from the building. They are pushed out by those rifle grenades that take only extremely minor damage and move to engage against these riflemen instead, but Cruzz takes advantage of the fact that the building had got briefly cleared to jump in there with his riflemen, and that should help him win this engagement for his cutoff. Meanwhile, the riflemen in this building still just sticking around, and you can see that the grenadiers were slowly winning the engagement over time, but it's a very slow engagement. Riflemen taking control of that point now. Rifle grenades from the fighting position continue being lobbed into this engagement. Nice hit on those grenadiers, forces them to retreat, but the flamethrower popped mid-engagement here, and ooh, that burst was nasty, and Cruzz was forced to retreat. But his rifle grenades will continue just bombarding this general area. If he can get a couple nice ones to land, maybe help him turn the engagement back in his favor. Rifle grenades keep being lobbed, and fortunately that squad of riflemen gets away with just a tiny bit of health remaining. No lucky burst from the flamethrower, and they do get clear. The flamethrower is going to rotate left to try and get rid of this fighting position. They are going to move around behind it to avoid walking into the 50 cal, which has been upgraded right there. Grenadiers provide vision, and the flamethrower is going to fire through the hedge so they don't take any unnecessary damage from the rear echelon troops inside. Cruzz is going to get them out of there. They actually are not going to retreat though. They just leave to avoid taking flamethrower damage, but they stick around to do a little bit of extra damage to those grenadiers, and when support arrives from these riflemen, they are forced to retreat through the 50 cal's arc of fire. That may not even get away. No, it does not.
Infantry squad has been killed.
That was a risky maneuver because of the machine gun. He was the only way that squad is going to get away alive is with an early retreat or repositioning back into the road through these riflemen and then trying to retreat, and neither of those options was likely to succeed. So that 50 cal paid off big time. ihitto, who loses a full squad of grenadiers, and Cruzz, I don't think, has lost anything other than cutoff control for a pretty significant amount of time, but he's held the entire left for the entire game, so not a bad map control situation for either player, and Cruzz will pull ahead just a little bit there for manpower. Mortar here has been fielded towards the right side. So 4 Grens in, plus flamethrower into a mortar rather than an MG42. No machine guns yet at all. Just relying on infantry and mortar play. And mortar is definitely not a bad decision on this map. It's just a matter of trying to utilize it as effectively as possible because there's so many buildings. It will definitely pay off against the fighting position if he doesn't know what else to shoot at. And mortar is definitely going to have options. So not a bad decision. Hopefully he'll be able to utilize that well. And he's probably going to start thinking about teching soon. There it is, tier 2 going up in his base. Has not teched beyond battle phase 1, and Cruzz for his tech has gone with the new 60 fuel captain. And he may be thinking about going with a Stewart. He will be ticking up to 70 fuel very soon. Otherwise, maybe just other captain tier options. And no commander selection yet from either player, but clearly Cruzz is pushing into the right side of the map. ihitto needs to be careful not to lose this fuel point, and he's already losing a bit of resources just from having lost the strategic points. He may want to consider doing at least light harassment of the left before Cruzz has counter harassment on the field, which maybe it's already too late now. Stewart in production, but he's definitely, he could have started at least tried poking the left unopposed. Now that a Stewart's going to be out, doing that may be too dangerous, more dangerous than it's worth. But yeah, he's losing a lot of territory. He either needs to win the engagement for the right side or do some harassment somewhere. But clearly, the quantity of grenadiers he's fielded to the right side has been enough to get Cruzz to back off a little bit. He will maintain control of this building. The mortar is going to make it dangerous to stick around in there for too long. Flamethrower plus Grens chases off this squad on the right side, and the rear echelons with their minesweeper are not going to last much longer.
Gun is ready for orders.
Pretty quiet while Cruzz is waiting for his Stewart to hit the field. He's making a very wide maneuver towards the right. Ambulance on the field as well is doing a lot of healing and reinforcing, and the AT gun is almost perfectly timed to protect against this push, but a little bit late, so the Stewart will be able to just bust in there and start taking shots. Apparently the Stewart does not have enough HP that a Panzerfaust will not damage its engine on the first shot, so that's a good thing to know. I wasn't actually sure about that, but the Stewart does take engine damage even from full health. Wow, that burst! Some of these flamethrower bursts this game, but a lay retreat regardless. Mortar is a little off target, so those riflemen don't get nailed too badly, and the flamethrower there should be able to get to safety. If only very narrowly, I think. Maybe. No, they do not! The riflemen snipe it at the last second. Here comes another Panzerfaust. AT gun is going to set up to fire. One more shot and it will go down. He's trying to get behind a shot blocker. I don't know if he's going to make it. Rifleman trying to put pressure on the AT gun to reposition, and a Panzerfaust destroys the Stewart. AT gun was not necessary there. So that Stewart goes down quite quickly, even with the health boost. It's not enough to survive 2 Panzerfausts and an AT gun shot, which is also a good thing to know. Good thing to keep count of. Cruzz's blob moving up the left side scares off this mortar. Riflemen get focus fire down pretty fast with a half-track available to support in this engagement, and maybe a wipe right there. No, not quite. I think ihitto will take this engagement unless... Oh, that rifle grenade! Oh, that was almost perfect, and the captain has no choice but to retreat, and he gets wiped. Grenadiers might get wiped too. No, they reinforce just in time, and Cruzz has completely lost this engagement. Stewart down, captain down, and he is in a bleak situation. But like I said before, only now is ihitto doing harassment of the left side. Single squad harassment of the left will finally get some territory back, plus he lost the right side fuel, so what Cruzz has lost in manpower, he may be able to make up for in fuel, because he's had excellent fuel control all game long. We're going to see him going with a pack howitzer, and from there maybe into major. Plus, we will note that Cruzz has not picked a commander yet. He has unlocked weapon racks, which now gives him access to both the BAR and the bazooka, throwing BARs on his riflemen. I think this squad has one, this squad also has one, so we didn't buy that many, just 2 BARs with a little bit of spare munitions that he had. And then he's also got the pack howitzer. It's going to help him laser beam grenadiers down quite quickly here, blobbing hard into the right side. His opponent has no MGs with which to punish this behavior, so working pretty well. That squad's going to have to retreat, getting folks fired down quite quickly, but they round the corner just in time. That squad also being forced to retreat. Rifle grenade into the blob is off target. Cruzz dodges it, and they will also laser beam down those grenadiers. There's that retreat. All Gren's forced to retreat, and he will continue his advance across the right side. Rear echelon troops, meanwhile, doing harassment of the left. Ooh, and we might even see a wipe right there. Maybe. So close! Not quite. He picked up a Pyro squad, chasing them down, but the Grenadiers managed to round a corner just in time. Regardless, a mortar will get chased off, and ihitto is forced to make an almost full retreat into the base just from BAR riflemen. No machine gun means that there's no reason for Cruzz not to do that. So ihitto might want to think about picking up some kind of suppression source, or just stronger AoE. He's relying entirely on rifle grenades, and so far none of them has really connected that well. Volley fire on a minesweeper squad doesn't look like it's going to work. Just does nothing right there, and they're forced to retreat. Grenadiers move to take control of the left side cutoff. So looks like volley fire is about as good as it always was. Well, not always, but as it was last patch, which is basically useless. Riflemen move to take control of the territories here on the right side. Pack howitzer doing some back capping. Hasn't even fired a shot yet, but it may be able to bleed some of ihitto's forces on their next advance. Couple squads move to take back control of the right side. Half track continues to engage at low HP, is almost asking to get blasted by the pack howitzer. Like maybe even 1 or 2 lucky shots on that thing could be a serious problem. Nice suppression from that hit on that squad. Riflemen switch targets to the other squad. They stand back up though in their yellow cover, but if they continue to just hold still, pack howitzer is going to bleed them heavily. Riflemen stick around to provide vision. Pyros arrive to execute some repairs on this thing. Fortunately, there's no green cover anywhere for either side to utilize, so it's almost not even a good idea to utilize craters. Oh, for cover for that exact reason. Clumping in yellow cover is dangerous under both pack howitzer and mortar fire, so both of them probably just need to spread out more than they need to utilize yellow cover at this point, which is almost more dangerous than open ground. That squad falling dangerously low to focus fire, does not retreat in time, and this squad needs to get out of there. Meanwhile, on the left side, I think volley fire, maybe? Oh no, they have a bar. Okay. I was like, how did they win that engagement? No, they have a BAR. Sneaky. And those rear echelon troops win an engagement against charging grenadiers for the fuel point. Gonna see a 50 cal dropped here in the US base. As Cruzz has skipped lieutenant tier, so that's the only way he can get himself access to a machine gun. And I think a machine gun is a good idea since both players are concentrating their forces heavily on the right and doing only lone squad harassment for the left. There are no counter harassment units on the field for either player, since the Steward has been destroyed and ihitto is continuing to work his way towards something. Maybe a command tank, as he has gone mobile defense but not fielded a Puma. So we're probably going to see a command tank from him and then possibly a transition to tier 4. And Cruzz will make another attack towards the right, but not too concentrated of an attack Oh, yes, he will. He's moving his rifleman to flank from the road. Everything else moving straight up from the base. He will spot grenadiers providing vision in the base. There's the command tank making its way towards the center of the map. Pack Howitzer gets a nice hit on that squad. Insta-suppression. Rear echelon troops move to take control of this building, but here comes the command tank, which Cruzz is not ready for at all. He has no AT gun on the field, or a tank of his own. Having gone airborne, you can paradrop one on the front line, or you can just field one at the base. So far it hasn't done much though. Cruzz is trying to avoid it for now. But it will just continue its advance and take shots. Targets of opportunity moving over towards the right side. Cruzz finds isolated minesweeper squad. Oh, that sneaky rifle grenade over the hedge almost was disastrous. And the command tank finishes the job. That is another wipe against Cruzz's rifleman, and he has only one squad left. Probably going to transition to paratroopers, but before he does that, he's going to get out a Sherman, which his opponent is sort of prepared for. He has one AT gun. But a Sherman should be a very effective tool, especially if he can pick up wipes on lone harassing squads left. Major doing harassment of the left side may prompt ihitto to send one lone squad of grenadiers over here and expose itself to being gunned down on retreat by that Sherman. Meanwhile, the Pack Howitzer continues to just bombard from range, and it's up to 2 kills. Wow. It's wiped a full squad, yet it only has 2 kills. Maybe it got recruited or something. I don't know. Or maybe the only 2 kills it has were that miracle wipe. Either way, it doesn't look like it's really gotten that much of a return on investment yet, but it is a lot cheaper than it used to be. 380 manpower versus 480. Also, it has the right reinforced cost now, so probably a lot more worth it than it was in the past. Sherman on the field, making its way up the middle. Post-air mortar by comparison is up 7 kills. I don't think I've seen it get a wipe though, so they're probably doing almost about even. Really, of course this is up to Vet 2 now. Sherman on the field. This is Cruzz's opportunity to turn the game back around in his favor. He is definitely behind for PopCap right now. Switching to HE shells and going in on the flank. He's probably going to try and catch his opponent off guard. Grenadiers in the building are not going to be that vulnerable to HE shells. Pack Howitzer is also firing in the area. We might see the major wiped though. Retreating through this many Grens. Does not have any hope of getting away alive. AT gun rotates to support in this engagement, and the Sherman will have to back off a little bit. So Cruzz doesn't get a whole lot of shock value out of the Sherman. His opponent is now aware of its existence, and he will probably be playing accordingly. Might see him get a second AT gun out. And as for his tech, he is going to go for battle phase 2 now. He could get a Puma maybe. For a little bit of light, long-range Sherman harassment power. But looks like he's just gonna skip past that and try and go for some sort of tier 3 solution, maybe even tier 4 solution, although that's gonna be a long-term thing. It's already the 20-minute mark and his fuel situation's not great. But Cruzz is definitely having a lot of trouble cracking this Oster defense over here on the right side, and since the right side does have 2 victory points, he's gonna have to find some way to break through, even if it means just taking these 3 points in this area, which would be a lot easier. Rear echelon troops are going to do a little bit of harassment, and a teller mine is going down on this approach. I'm not sure if Cruzz spotted that getting planted right there or not. Maybe. If he did, he could probably fire with the Pack Howitzer right there or something.
Our industry grows to support us.
But he's going to have to execute a very tight push if he's going to break through this defensive line, if it's possible at all, which it probably is with the Sherman. He would just have to somehow get in there without hitting a mine and without taking too many hits from the AT gun before his opponent has a hard counter to the Sherman on the field, and he does have an emergency Puma button if he really needs it as well. So Cruzz just doesn't have that much pushing power with only one squad of riflemen left. Doesn't seem to have any intention of fielding replacement infantry either. He has gotten himself an AT gun. Might, like I said, see some paratroopers also. LMG equipped paratroopers are a very powerful tool on this map. Thompsons can be as well if you can get into close range on a flank. Paratroopers in general are just really strong, but Cruzz is just going to keep on dumping that manpower into Shermans, which makes sense. Having 2 Shermans on the field will definitely give him a way to overwhelm his opponent before he's ready. There's tier 3 up. Still have quite a bit of time before the Panzer IV arrives. If Cruzz finds a window of opportunity to get 2 Shermans into an engagement before his opponent has anything other than a Panzer IV command tank, there's a decent chance he could inflict some serious harm. And he has just swept up that teller mine right there as well. Well, he spotted it anyway. Pack howitzer could shoot at it, or he could just go around or something. Still quite a stalemate.
Good to go.
Okay, pack howitzer destroys the teller mine.
Rear echelon squad ready for
And Sherman is going to look for an opportunity around the base, or around a very deep flank through the middle. Trying to keep those minesweepers very close to his Sherman to make sure he doesn't hit a teller mine moving up from behind. And the second Sherman is on the field, available to participate in the engagement if an opportunity presents itself. Pack howitzer bombarding the house. These infantry are going to work on those Pios. Very good chance of a wipe right there, but the Sherman messes it up, and the Panzer IV command tank firing through the hedge convinces Cruzz to spread out and back off a little bit. Sherman takes a big hit on its rear armor, needs to pull back to safety. Second Sherman has not moved to support in the engagement at all. It's just sitting in the base. There it goes. Light harassment of the cutoff here by these rear echelon troops. Pios plus mortar might scare them off. Cruzz preoccupied with this engagement for the middle. Riflemen fall dangerously low to command tank fire, have to retreat. Pack howitzer is available to support against this push, but his shot is off target. There's the AT gun. Command tank falling a little low. 50 cal set up for these advancing infantry that both get suppressed, and there's a P-47 rocket strafe on the command tank as well. It's falling dangerously low, and that spread of rockets will destroy that Panzer IV. Oh, ooh, those random stray rockets just nailed those grenadiers badly too. There's the emergency Puma. Not feeling confident waiting for a Panzer IV, but now he probably even regrets that decision a little bit because he couldn't advance into the P-47 rocket strafe, and he found no opportunity to take out either of those Shermans. But on the right side, the rear echelons were chased off. He retains control of the cutoff, is throwing down another teller mine over here. Ambulance is going to move to reinforce some of these team weapons on the front line. The pack howitzer did get decrewed and recrewed, but that's not nearly as expensive as it once was because of the fixed reinforced costs, so that's good. And the ambulance will arrive to reinforce some of these squads and get some of these team weapons. Wow. Okay. That was no wipe, was it? No, there was nothing in that building. That building gets destroyed by random rockets. Puma doesn't actually take any damage though. Riflemen moving up to take control of this point, and the pack howitzer actually killed those Pios as they were planting that mine. The mine completed and the pack howitzer shot blew them up. So Pios get wiped.
We're losing a capture point.
Shermans find another opportunity against an overextended squad on the left. Their HE shells, I think this squad's gonna go down. There is nothing to prevent them from chasing deep into the base. In fact, these grenadiers might be in danger as well. Cruzz sort of gets the feeling that there's nothing to stop him from doing this. There's the Puma, actually. It was a Puma, so... The P-47 rocket strafe is still loitering, though. I feel like that got called in 100 years ago, but that last pass, I guess, somehow. Puma takes a little damage from the P-47, and the Sherman gets a long shot in as well, plus an AT gun if that thing moves up. It's actually in AT gun range. Cruzz simply does not have vision. Rifle grenade on the machine gun almost clears it. Pack howitzer, oh, plus Sherman shells wipes that squad, and the other one has to retreat. AT gun moves up to scare those Shermans away, but these advancing team weapons pose a problem to which ihitto does not have a solution right now, and the pressure Cruzz is putting on ihitto's base is probably going to significantly weaken the defensive line here on the right. There is still a half-track hovering over here with a light infantry support, but anything more than a half-hearted push by Cruzz could easily break through this, especially with no anti-tank support. If those Shermans were fully repaired and decided to switch fronts over here to the right side with proper minesweeper support, there's an excellent chance that Cruzz could overwhelm this position, and ihitto is clearly struggling to set up a coordinated front line and take out priority targets. Those Shermans are bullying him so badly. Rifle grenade scares off those riflemen though, and he will maintain control of the right side, and he will maintain clock control, pulling into a 100 VP lead. Cruzz clearly has the armored advantage, and having convinced his opponent to go Puma, it's a super delayed Panzer IV.
New anti-tank gun has arrived.
Engine!
50 cal gets wiped right there, and these Pathfinders are forced to retreat. These two Shermans are going to move in on the right side. I keep on looking for teller mines, but I guess Cruzz has swept them all up or blown them all up, because I don't see any anywhere. Looks like those Shermans will be free and clear to advance. Rear echelon troops providing vision with the minesweeper will definitely provide Cruzz with the knowledge that there are no teller mines here, and he could get aggressive. A new command tank has been fielded. These fuel expenditures into things that can't fight Shermans seem very expensive, but alright, Cruzz doesn't even have that much infantry, so he's got a lot of team weapons, I guess. I don't know if I think a command tank is a great decision, but it may be an integral part of ihitto's build that he feels he needs to have to give that defensive bonus to his nearby units, maybe when he does get out like a Stug or something, which might be interesting to see, actually. But having that command tank's not going to help him that directly against these two Shermans, and Cruzz could get a third one out soon. He's gated a little bit on manpower because he decided to go with some Pathfinders plus just general bleed.
Yeah?
Pack here.
That is a sturdy bunker.
They're shooting at us! So much blood!
Command tank moves to engage against some team weapons in the middle. Just drove straight into this AT gun. Will get it cleared though with Grenadier support. Eats one shot. Pack Howitzer shot as well, but it's still got a pretty decent amount of health. 50 cal is going to pull back a little bit, falling to about half. These squads here on the cutoff falling a little bit low, but it looks like they're putting decent pressure on those Grenadiers. With the command tank defensive buff, they're able to stick around in the engagement for a little bit longer, even under VAR fire, but that vetted AT gun does get cleared by focus fire from the Pathfinders and Riflemen, and that's going to give an opportunity to these Shermans to move up very aggressively, focusing on the Puma initially right there, which is going to try and pull back to safety. Grenadiers crew the AT gun. With the half-track available to reinforce, they should be able to get back up to strength, but they're eating HE shells and it hurts. No wipes yet, but they're falling so close. This Sherman goes for the Puma again, and it's very close to being taken out, but Cruzz doesn't like the engagement and will pull back. I feel like he could have at least picked up something. Ooh, there's a wipe. Grenadiers get clumped outside the half-track, and the Sherman with that last pot shot will clean them up. So the engagement overall, I want to say, went in Cruzz's favor with heavy bleed inflicted and no serious losses, I don't think, except for maybe a minesweeper squad, I guess. That was a little hard to keep track of right there. That was a lethal engagement on both sides. And although I think Cruzz traded well during that, he still can't seem to get clock control, and he's falling low, 230 VPs, and he still hasn't made a decisive engagement. And very important to note, he did give an AT gun over to his opponent, so that is a painful loss. Giving a US AT gun away is bad, because Shermans can be quite vulnerable to it. Cruzz is going to try and soften up his opponent's clump of stuff. 347 rocket strafe right here. The spread of rockets does a little bit of light damage, but nothing too serious, and everything is going to pull free of the strike zone. With a slightly reduced strike zone, he doesn't have to pull back too much to get completely clear. HE shell right there, plus focus fire from BARs clears that AT gun out quite quickly. American AT gun sets up with a line against the Sherman, gets a nice hit right there. Those Grenadiers have no choice but to retreat though, getting away only narrowly. And the blob of infantry is moving up right under command tank fire to try and clear this AT gun and maybe steal this one. The command tank has no choice but to advance into the rocket strafe zone if it wants to continue engaging. It almost picks up this squad. AT gun taking shots at this Sherman. Light damage. Oh, pack howitzer shot connects with the rear, but it rams that rifle squad and wipes it. Meanwhile, this squad of Grenadiers gets away with only a tiny sliver remaining. That long shot plus P-47 rocket strafe. There it is. The planes finish it off, and another command tank is claimed by the U.S. Air Force. Pack howitzer shot wipes that AT gun, though, and only one AT gun now remains for ihitto. This one cleared, this stolen one cleared, and ihitto is making a full retreat back into his base with both Shermans, no, 3 Shermans on the field, none of which have been destroyed, and 2 command tanks down. Cruzz has pulled into a huge lead for armor and is finally going to start getting some clock control back. He grabs the south VP and starts working his way across the right half of the map to push ihitto completely back into his base. And Cruzz is going to try and destroy some of these AT weapons, but he doesn't feel that it's worth it to switch off of HE shells, so a lot of the shots are just bouncing. Puma getting overly aggressive here, I think, maybe, but it pops smoke just in the nick of time to try and get to safety. Juking a little bit, doesn't want to disengage completely yet, taking shots. It's very dangerous. Another shot connects, main gun destroyed, and it will have to pull back completely for repairs. Its own smoke is blocking this AT gun's line of fire, but that pack howitzer looks like it overextended itself and will get cleared, possibly also destroyed. Cruzz has infantry moving up to re-engage here on the right side. That burst from those Shermans takes out another Grenadier squad, and that ihitto has just lost too much. He doesn't think he can recover from this situation. He's probably right, because he's lost 2 command tanks worth of fuel. That's 250 fuel. Cruz's armored lead continues to grow. We're looking at 30 kills between these 2 tanks. Another one being repaired over here, applying additional pressure, and the P-47 looks like it's about as good against mobile defense as it always was, even with that slightly reduced strike zone. Once it locks on, it locks on. Taking out 2 command tanks with, of course, not just the P-47, but also supporting fire from the pack howitzer, which has actually got quite a few good hits in against tanks. And, of course, just Cruzz's AT gun. So, saw some pretty interesting things this game. GG. It's always fun, actually. I like airborne versus mobile defense. This is actually the second time I've cast airborne versus mobile defense with Cruzz in the game. Only last time Cruzz was on the other. He was playing as mobile defense against Mr. Yoon's airborne. So I've seen this exact matchup before. Only Cruzz was on the other side. GG. Allies win.